Yo, what's up, people? I was having a conversation with a friend of mine yesterday, and he said something so smart. He said to me, "Life is a combination of it's a balancing act between hedonism and pleasure versus productivity." Now that really resonated with me, and it hit me pretty hard because it makes perfect sense in my life. You know, you're either doing one or the other, and you have to like balance the scale. And hedonism comes in all forms of pleasure, right? So, whatever pleasure is to you, in the sense that it could be dinner with family, it could be whatever, sex, it could be drinking alcohol, it could be a drug of some sort, it could be, listening to music. All of that is a form of hedonism, if you like. Some obviously worse than others, but it all falls under the same category of hedonism, right? A human seeking pleasure. You're seeking pleasure. You're seeking to do these activities that just make you feel good. It's just comfortable. Sometimes these activities don't actually make you feel good and people still do them. That's when you're really in a conundrum, by the way. If you think that you're finding pleasure in an activity, but you're actually not finding any pleasure in it and actually depressing you, then you are heading down a very dangerous slope. So you better know what actually makes you feel good and what doesn't, right? Certain types of hedonism are very different to others. So pleasure, sitting there having a family meal, that's wholesome. That's a very nice form of pleasure. Um, Going for a walk is deemed a pleasurable experience. It's healthy. It's beneficial for your body. Now, sinking 10 pints of beer at the pub or at the bar is a very different kind of pleasure and hedonism that's actually really costing you in the long run and is coming at a great cost and a sacrifice to your health. Okay, taking ecstasy or an MDMA, pill, which I did last weekend. Actually, I'll be open and honest about it. I don't care. Taking one of those certainly gives you a massive level of pleasure in the short term. But in the next day, it completely sucks it out of you. So that sort of hedonism and pleasure can be very costly. The days after you actually take that drug. Okay, so you fly really high in your hedonistic journey, and then you sink really low. Okay, so those are the dangers of engaging in certain types of hedonistic behaviors. And all religion talks about this kind of stuff as well. Everyone's religion always talks about, be careful of hedonism. It's just the devil playing his sort of games with you and trying to tempt you and lure you in to his sins. They talk about the 7 deadly sins. What is it, like sex, drugs, and I don't know what the other 7 deadly sins are, but put it that way, it's all the things that humans are lured in by the devil to be doing. Okay. So anyway, that's the hedonism side. And on the other side, you've got productivity. Okay, so we're talking about hedonism on one side and productivity on the other. And your life is basically, if you think about it, is just a balancing act between those two things, right? You're literally completely swaying between those two things your whole entire life. So during the weekdays, people will be quite productive. Okay, you get the classic productivity during the weekdays, whether you're going to work and hopefully you're then going to the gym and you're being productive. And on the weekend, people let loose, right? Like, history and society would say that even God rested on the Sabbath and on the seventh day. So people will be seeking their sort of pleasure and hedonism on the weekend. So Monday to Friday, they'll be productive in their work. And then there'll be 2 days where it'll just be pure pleasure, pure hedonism, and pure whatever makes you happy. You do whatever the hell you want to do if you can afford it. And if you're healthy, of course. The trouble is that you have to sacrifice. No matter what you choose to do, you are sacrificing something. When you're being productive, let's be honest, you are sacrificing actually living. When you're seeking pleasure and you're out in the clubs or you're, drinking alcohol or whatever else you seek that's pleasurable, going for a coffee with your friends, that actually eats away from your productive time. So you have to be aware that you're sacrificing that time and you have to be okay with that sacrifice. So you have to be like, it's fine. I am feeling okay with the level of productivity that I've had. I'm going to go for a coffee with this girl, with my friends, and I'm going to be completely comfortable and present doing so, right? So that's the other important thing, because whatever you do, you want to be fully present in. And there'll be times where I'll be like partying and stuff. I'm like, oh shit, I should really be working right now. Or there'll be times where I'll be being like productive and I'm working on the business, and I'll be like, oh, do you know what? I really want to like just take it easy this afternoon and go sit in a spa for a few hours. So you have to be fully present in whatever task and whatever project, whatever you're into in that moment. You want to be fully present. Okay, I fully believe in that. If you're out and you're having pleasurable times, then fully embrace the pleasurable times. If you're working, you're being productive. Going to the gym also counts as being productive. I see it as being pleasurable. I wouldn't necessarily call it hedonism. It is pleasurable, but it's productive. Okay, so that's a nice one that kind of falls in between the two, but more so on the productive side. So, that when I'm in the gym, when I'm partying, when I'm working, I'm trying to be present and in that zone in particular. Now, knowing when to switch between the two is really one of life's major challenges. And we all suffer with this, right? The greatest businessmen who make the most money are the ones that are willing to sacrifice their hedonism. They'll just put their head down and they'll thoroughly just work for days, weeks, months, years, decades. And they'll sacrifice going out. They'll sacrifice the party life. They'll sacrifice sleeping with a bunch of different women. I mean, Jeff Bezos built Amazon when he was with the same woman for 15, 20 years, right? While the rest of us are out there trying to sleep with as many women as possible because we think that's what gives us value. And that comes at a cost of your productivity. So, I say to a lot of pickup artists who learn game and learn how to pick up girls, I'm like, guys, if you spent this kind of time building your business and actually building your brand and building a level of status, then you wouldn't have to work so hard on learning how to game girls because you'd get them more natural because you're already a successful, cool, high status guy. So, the point of this is that your life will be an endless battle between finding the equilibrium point of hedonism and productivity. And I am no angel or God when it comes to this kind of stuff, because I love having a good time. I love being hedonistic. I love sleeping with women and experimenting with different types of substances and chemicals, obviously to a certain degree. Let's not go too far. I don't. I'm still alive. I'm still happy. I'm still super healthy. So, I absolutely really enjoy doing all that kind of stuff. I love partying. I love music. I absolutely love house music. I mean, I DJ house music. So I love being at these parties. I love hearing the music. I love being involved in the scene. I love that kind of hedonistic pleasure, connecting with people, communicating with people. I wouldn't call all the above things productive. They're just a form of entertainment for me, right? So I love all that stuff. But at the same time, I also love being productive. So I also love building a personal brand, building a business, making money, seeing my stocks go up, seeing my body improve, like eating good food, feeling good about myself. All that stuff is pretty productive. Like eating healthy food, going to the gym, doing deep work, building your business, making cool content. So, ultimately, like I like both sides. And personally, I'm going to continue to do both sides because what I usually say is you're either living or you're working. Okay? Now, it's very hard to do both exactly at the same time. Some people love their jobs and they would call it living at the same time. So you'd be like, oh, I'm working, but I'm also really living in the moment because I absolutely adore my job. And that's fair enough. I'm super happy for you. But there's boring things in every single job. Like even now, I love what I do, right? I love creating content. I love building this community. And I can't wait for what's going to turn into. But there's a lot of boring parts to it that I definitely don't enjoy. So there's productive parts, and then there's times I just want to kind of let go and live a little bit, be a bit hedonistic. Take the car for a spin or whatever, go for a coffee or eat a chocolate eclair. That's hedonism. By the way, eating junky food and eating sweets, that is pure hedonism, right? So be very careful because that's the easiest form of hedonism on the planet. Sweets, cake, chocolate, sugar, something tasty and sweet, some cookies and a muffin, pure hedonism, extremely unproductive stuff. So we will spend our lives trying to find the equilibrium point, and what works for you doesn't work for everyone else. Okay, so you have to find that point that works for you. Now, for me, for example, I am doing 4 or 5 days a week of work, and then I'm doing 2 days of hedonism on the weekend. And what I'm finding actually is that even that is too much hedonism because it's taking me too long to get back into the productive cycle. to be super productive with my videos, with my business, with my investments, with my courses. So I'm actually finding that, um, I'm finding that I have to be less hedonistic. So even 2 days on the weekend is too much hedonism, right? How crazy is that? Super disappointing. I'd love to just be hedonistic the whole time, but even then you get quite depressed and miserable. I mean, I did it when I sold my business about 7, 8 years ago when I was sitting on the beach. It was pure hedonism. I was like, man, this is kind of boring now. Like, I want to be productive, you know? So I'm finding that if I stay sober, if I avoid alcohol, if I avoid all drugs, if I kind of avoid these hedonistic activities, I avoid sugar and sweets and junk food, then I am more productive. But then I get to the point where you get a bit bored. You're like, I kind of want to live a little bit. I kind of want to get out of the house. I kind of want to do something interesting and fun and different and stop working, because people like me are so ambitious. All we want to do sometimes is just like crack on with work and keep making more money when really that's not necessarily a good quality of life. Do you understand that working all the time is not a good quality of life? So finding that balance is going to be the key. Now, I'll be on this journey documenting it, talking about it. And, similarly with you'll also, depends what stage of life you're at. Listen, if you're broke and you're really struggling, you really want to drop all your hedonistic activities. As difficult as that sounds, you need to cut the hedonism out if you're broke. Okay? If you're in a good position, you're comfortable, you've got a good paying job, you're happy with where you are and what you're doing in life, then your productivity side is going well, and then you can apply some more hedonism and pleasure. You can take the weekend off and go to a cool spa resort or something, whatever makes you feel good about yourself. And the great thing about stuff like doing spa resorts and going to people find like running marathons a pleasure. Like, how bloody good that is, because that's combining pleasure and productivity. So that actually is the perfection inflection point of the scale. If you find that there are things that give you pleasure that are also productive, do more of those, because that is the holy grail of living the best possible life. Gym is pleasurable to me. I love going to the gym. I love pumping weights. I love crafting my body. That's also productive, and I'm going to do more of that for the rest of my life because I absolutely love it. Cooking healthy food, I find, is pretty therapeutic, as long as it doesn't take me too long. Cooking healthy food and eating healthy food and feeling good after a meal, to me, is hedonism and productivity. Okay, so I really, really love that. I was going to say sort of talking to girls, picking up girls and sleeping with them. That's pretty much hedonism. I don't know how productive that actually is. I mean, it can be productive if you're kind of like learning and practicing how to talk to girls. Sure, let's try and make it sound productive. But ultimately, women and sex and your desires are very hedonistic. Okay, so if you control those hedonistic pleasures in terms of sort of sex, then you'll find that you can be more productive, because someone who's just driven by sex all the time is not going to be very productive. They're going to be chasing women or masturbating a bit too often. So I hope you've kind of understood the concept of what I'm trying to talk about here in terms of the hedonism on one side and the productivity on the other. Like working and productivity fall in line, and then living and hedonism are also on the other side. And you're trying to find that sweet equilibrium spot right in the middle there. So that's the lives that we're going to live. We're going to be swaying from either of those two, and and hopefully you'll think about this after you've watched this video and you go off and get on with your daily activities. Hopefully you'll realize that you will just be swinging between the two, and you will be sacrificing one or the other, and be okay with that sacrifice and go all in on whatever you're doing. Okay, if you're at a party and you're having fun, you can't be thinking about work. You need to be fully involved and really enjoying that, and being like, okay, I'm loving it, I'm happy doing this. This is, I'm here, and tomorrow I'll be back at work and I'll focus on work, and that's fine. Okay, so if you can do that, then you're truly living the best possible experiences in this life, and you're truly embracing every possible experience. And that really is the best possible life that you could be living. Added on top of that is the stuff which is pleasurable and productive, like I said, which is running, working out, walking. If you find those pleasures, if you find the productive stuff an actual pleasure, making music, for example, that's productive, and that's also pleasurable. That there is the sweet spot. Try to find the sweet spot if you possibly can. For me, pleasure is making these videos. I genuinely really love making these videos and putting my thoughts and my wisdom out there, and trying to build a community and trying to help people in their lives, trying to help others improve their lives. That to me is a pleasurable, is sort of a pleasure seeking activity, and it's productive. So I found my sweet spot. So I hope this video has helped you. Go out there and find your sweet spot. That's where you need to sit in this life. Produce more of that. Good night.